Welcome to another Wednesday weekly team prosperity meeting. Once again, this is a meeting that goes directly into things that will help you build your business, whether you are working in marketing, managing, education, sales, no matter what your role is, we should have things that will help you in each of these meetings. So we are, in September now. So, vacation, summertime, all this stuff is ending. This is the core time that you can get a lot done for your business over the next coming weeks leading into the holidays, but you have to capitalize. You have to have action, intention. You have to bring intensity. You have to measure yourself in terms of how you're reaching your target objectives or how you're not. And then you have to make sure that along the way that you're making the necessary changes so that you're getting the most out of the time invested into your business. Just a couple of real quick notes. On a team level, we got two things happening right now. One is the 12-week year. We got a small participant group working that. We're in week 2 right now. We also have the football contest going where cash prizes are up for grabs. Last week, we talked about LinkedIn as a marketing asset. LinkedIn is the largest preferred professional networking website in the entire world. It's a perfect fit for entrepreneurs and business owners who want to connect, network, and grow. But if you neglect LinkedIn, you're really missing out on a lot of the business and important connections that can help you grow your business. So once again, if your business model and your marketing doesn't include LinkedIn, it's not complete. That's always on. You can go back and revisit that if you need to. And this week, like I said, we're going to be talking about something that I think is very, very important for all of us. And this goes no matter what role that you're taking on, creating a sense of urgency. So it's all about, if we're talking to that person at that moment, at that time, create a sense of urgency, no matter what your next action step is, no matter what you're asking of the prospect or client, create a sense of urgency. With no urgency, there's no immediate need to take the action step. And then you get a big cycle of these people who are just in kind of no man's land. You're not really sure how to contact them, what to say. So when you have somebody, that is the moment to create a sense of urgency. And basically what that means is that time is now. You have to act now, no matter what it is that we're trying to do. Like I said, for that next action step, you have to create that sense of urgency. You have to understand and let the other prospect on the other side understand this is the time to act and this is the time to take that action step. So what is a close? Let's talk about this because you're doing different things for your business. You may be a marketer, you may be a manager, you may be an educator, but the definition of a close is the moment in time when you reach an agreement and exchange something of value with another person. So whether you're giving away guides, whether you're giving away education meetings, whether you're actually closing product and service sales, that is the moment when you guys are exchanging something of value from one person to the other. So if there's no urgency, there's no close. You're going to find that in all aspects of your business model. You have to create urgency. You wouldn't buy, unless you're thirsty, you're not going to buy water. However, when you're tying the urgency into your conversation, it has to be in accordance and parallel with a legitimate benefit to the buyer. So yes, you're creating urgency, but you're also creating an urgency tied to that buyer. What does that really mean? Well, when you're in conversations and when you're talking to people, you have to let them know the topic, the subject that you guys are talking about is two things. It's both urgent and important. Do you think things like a standard of living in retirement? Do you think like becoming debt-free, accumulating assets, getting to a point where your passive assets are creating income that covers your standard of living? Are those type of things urgent and important to talk about? Well, hopefully you think so, because they are, and you have to relay that to the other side. And it's all about doing it now. It's not about letting people do their natural instinct, which is procrastinate. Listen, everybody wants to kick the can down the road. Sure, let's talk about it at this point in the future. Let's do this at this point in the future. No, let's do it now. Because why? Because it's urgent and important. And when you can relay that back to a motivating factor specific to the person that you're talking about, then it really works out well for you and it works out well for them. So you have to understand that the secret to creating urgency comes from your understanding of your product services, comes from your understanding of either the perceived or the known problems that your prospect's having, and then creating a bridge that gets them to an endpoint of a desired situation or a desired endpoint where they want to be, versus, like we always talk about, what most people do is just drifting into unknown outcomes because there's no plan of action, because there's no urgency there. You have to understand the reason why your customer is looking at your product or service. People are going to buy the exact same thing for many, many different reasons. So understanding your client or your prospect's why is one of the most important things that you can possibly do in creating that urgency and creating that sense of motivation to take that next action step. Knowing the why allows you to solve their problem, right? And that's important because you're a solutions-based person. You work from a solutions-based firm, and that's what we're trying to get to, is we're trying to get to solutions for problems. So knowing the why allows you to solve their problem, and that creates urgency. This also makes you the solution for their problem. Now they're talking to somebody that can actually help them. This is because you're providing relief by being able to help them as quickly as possible. And as a result of that, guess what, guys? You become more valuable to that prospect or to that client. Finding out the problem or reason that they're looking for your product or service gives you the clue that you can move on to a close. You got to be the solution fast, and you got to close more deals. The close is not about you guys. Yes, your goals and your vision and everything you're trying to accomplish definitely matters, but the close is for the customer, not you. Closing is the only way the customer gets to fix their problem. If you don't close, you don't get money on your side. And if you don't get money, you can't help others to the same extent. So you have to understand, in those moments where you are, creating urgency and having that important conversation, you have to understand that when it gets to the end point, it is about the customer. It is about the prospect. So let's talk a little bit about the 7 requirements for closing a sale, because the more you understand how to close, the more you understand how to create a sense of urgency, the easier this is going to be, because you are disqualifying people that shouldn't be in front of you, and you're qualifying the people that should be in front of you, and you're taking those qualified prospects down a road that makes sense in a clear, concise, articulate way that's doing what? Bringing solutions to the table that solves their problem. So 7 requirements for closing a sale. Number 1, you have to be dealing with the true decision maker. The earlier that you can find in the conversation that you're not dealing with the decision maker, the easier you can cut that conversation short and reroute it to another time where all the parties would be there. If there's more than one, you have to be dealing with all of them. Figure this out early, like we were just talking about, or otherwise you're really not only wasting your time, but you're wasting everybody's time involved. The number of sales you make is in direct proportion to the number of decision makers that you see. Pretty easy to understand, right? Number 2, you have to be willing to deal with the person who has the ability to pay for your products and services. Most prospects can get the money if they want what you're selling badly enough. But there are times when they just can't. Don't spend your business hours trying to sell someone who can't buy. Remember, there is a willingness to pay and there's an ability to pay. What we're looking for is both a willingness, they want, what we have to offer, and the ability to pay. You need to find out early in the conversation. If there's no ability to pay, you need to cut that conversation short, because once again, you're not only wasting your time, but you're wasting their time. Number 3, you have to be sold on the product. And this is one of the first things that you have to buy into, is what are you actually selling, and do you believe in it? So if you're selling something you don't believe in, that shows through your confidence, and the lack of confidence is going to kill your ability to, market, manage, sell, create urgency. You must be sold on the product. Number 4, you have to believe in yourself. This is all about building confidence through some of the things, getting past the learning curve. But you don't stay out all night drinking and partying the night before. You don't, drag yourself through the next day. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to act like a pro, and you have to prepare yourself. Your business is important. You have to bring your A game to your business. Now, you're not going to feel great every day. You got to show up. You got to bring your A game, and you got to prepare. Preparation leads to success. You must believe in yourself. And number 5, your buyer has to have the confidence in your product. What we do and how we lead and how we take them down a path should show them that, but the product has to solve a real problem. And the prospect has to believe 100% that this product will solve their problem. So it's not only about making sure they understand the macro problems, and the micro problems that are unique and specific to them, but it's making sure they understand this is going to get you to that desired endpoint. This is going to solve your problem. They have to believe, and that comes a lot from what we do on the backside, which is the customer and client support. So they're not only buying a product, but they're buying into a relationship where we're going to help them. Number 6, you need to present a written offer. And this is something that I think we all need to work on. In virtual sales, we're showing a lot, we're doing a lot, but at the end of the day, what is exactly the client buying into? Over 70% of salespeople don't use written offers. Instead, they expect the prospects to remember every detail, and that's confusing. Remember, we're coming at them kind of like a fire hydrant of information, the education, the illustrations, the sales reports, everything that we do. And if you have a confused person, guess what? They don't buy. So what we need to make sure is they understand the expectations that we have for them as a client, but also what are they getting? What are they buying into besides a program? They're buying into a relationship, and that a relationship includes all aspects of A, B, C, D, E. And we're going to get that out for you guys to make sure that when you're talking to people, because once again, a confused person is not going to trigger a buy. And then number 7, your offer has to have urgency built in. So what we're talking about today, right? It's not enough to make your prospect want to buy. They have to want to buy right now. And that's one of the most important things that you can learn, is to create the urgency. They have to have a reason to get off the fence, not just sit there. Maybe your price is only good until a certain time point in the future, or maybe you throw in a value added bonus if they pull the trigger today. Figure out, a way to add urgency into your sales presentations and your marketing presentations, and those closing rates on the next action steps, including overall sales, will start to skyrocket. Let's talk about the other side, which is the 8 reasons typically, will struggle to close. Because once you understand the ingredients for a close and why people struggle to close, you can start to figure out the deficiencies that you have. We always talk about, you have strengths, you have weaknesses, you need to identify both, and then you need to work on the weaknesses. So these are 8 reasons why people would struggle in the close. Number 1, you have no commitment to greatness. Remember, you have to have a commitment to your own success. That means spending time learning. It means spending time role playing. It means spending time around the right people that can actually help coach and mentor you. If you're surrounded by average people, you're going to stay average. So you have to commit to greatness as a sales pro, as a marketing pro, as a manager pro, whatever you're going to do in all areas of your life, including your personal life, or things will never, ever happen for you. Number 2, you have a shortage of closing material. And this is all of us in the beginning. You're getting your business off from a ground floor. If you ever notice that if you're truly understanding a subject, you usually don't hate it. Well, if you hate closing, it's probably because you just don't understand it. And that's why we're doing this meeting today. And that means that you're not understanding it yet, or you don't understand the product, you don't understand the service, whatever it might be. And in order to understand how to close what you're selling, you need to have a lot of material at your fingertips. You don't need stats, you don't need rebuttals or objections. You need all kinds of proof that your selling actually works. And we try to give you that, and you need to build that on your own as well as you're helping people. Testimonials, case studies, demonstration proof. There's lots of different kinds of proof, and you'll probably want to incorporate all of them in your business. The more closing material that you have, the better that you get at closing. Guess what? The more that you'll love closing, and the more that you'll start to close deals. And when you close deals in a business model like the one that we have, you are helping people along the way. Number 3, you believe that price is an issue. Remember, every price you see, someone made that price up. The dollar, gold, oil, the car, the iPhone, it's all made up. Price is just an illusion. Think of it this way. For even the most expensive things in the world, there's someone who's willing to pay for it, right? Someone's willing to pay that price. The only time price is really the issue is when you haven't demonstrated enough value, or if you're talking to people who just can't get the money together. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Make sure you're talking to people who have the willingness and the ability to pay. If that's the case, you need to go back and review some of that stuff. If you believe that what you have is going to fix your client's problem, then the value that you bring to the table, price is just what they need to pay to get it activated. Next is you buy those customer excuses. You're buying that customer story. You always hear that, that term buyers are liars, and it's actually true. Buyers tell little lies all the time. And those stories are designed to sell you on why they shouldn't buy your product. Just looking, you're not the only person, we're evaluating several different possibilities. I need time to make a decision. Most of those are just ways that people, in their mindset, allow themselves to justify procrastination. So they're just selling you on why they shouldn't buy. So if this is the case, one of you is going to be sold, either them on why they should buy or you are why they shouldn't buy. So one person's going to, sell the other person. Stop buying their stories, stop buying the customer's excuses, and start leading them to the expectations of a better financial life down the road. That starts today with a sense of urgency that we're talking about something that's important, and then we're talking about something that can literally change the the scope of their life. This is one where you have to walk a fine line. You have to, if you're unwilling to pressure the prospect, it's going to be a lot of question and answers set up. It's going to be a lot of chasing people when realistically you should have got an answer in that first meeting. And this is a big one that we all should work on. Most salespeople are scared to pressure the prospect into a decision. Those salespeople are robbing, a lot of people, including themselves, their family, their prospects, their clients, of good things in their life. If that's happening, we need to learn how to stop it. It's your job. If you're providing solutions, then it's your job to pressure the prospect, and it's actually valuable to them. If you're unable to make a decision, that indecision eats away, time after time after time. Once they actually make a decision, it actually relieves them, whether they buy or not. And that's just doing them a service. So pressure is your friend. We're trying to get them to a point where they tell us yes or no. Number 6, you lack on your own side real financial goals. I hear a lot of people saying, I'm good at such a number. I only need this. Well, you're really not. Nobody in America is living the kind of life they want at $40, $50, $60, $70,000 a year. It just doesn't happen. On $50,000 right now in this inflationary environment, kind of a sitting duck. All it takes is one setback, one family emergency to start to bring some financial chaos into the household. So if you set your bar too low, you're being real lazy in the close because you don't think that I really need this one. On the other hand, if you set really high goals for yourself, all those little excuses, they don't even make sense to you anymore. So set the bar high and stay hungry. And then number 7, something that we really try to work on with you guys is that, some people just don't have the training to close. Sure, you might have a natural raw sales talent, but if you want to be a pro, you need professional training. If you run a team, your team needs to be professionally trained too. If you don't have cutting edge, sales training that can help turn average salespeople into rock stars, what are you really doing? You're just going through the motions, and that's it. You're leaving a ton of deals on the table. And when you leave things on the table, things fall through the cracks, and that's revenue, income, that's growth, not only for you, that's revenue, income, growth for your partners, and that's valuable solutions for the client that they never took you up on. And then finally, number 8, guys, is that you're just not sold. If you don't have the confidence in yourself, or if you don't have the confidence in your product, you're not going to close very many people, if anybody. So what do? If you aren't confident in what you're selling, you need to learn more about what you're actually selling to become confident in it. And then at the end of the day, if you learned everything about your product and service and you're still not confident in it, you need to go sell something else. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. We want to get into things each week that just go right into, how do I make my business better? How do I make this more efficient? How do I make more money? How do I serve more people? And we always talk about this. You get obsessed with helping people, you're going to get obsessed about learning more about your products and services, how they help those people. And that's just going to generate huge amounts of cash flow for you and really solid business relationships where your clients are not only glad to hear from you, but the progress that they're making spills over into user-generated content, referrals, lots of things can come from that.